I wanted to do the short video about how to solder copper pipe in facilities maintenance. There will be times where you might need to solder copper pipe to run some air lines, new water lines in a facility, install a new water heater, install a ball valve, etc. We're not going to get into the really larger size copper pipe. We're going to mainly stick with some of the common sizes you'll see in facilities like 1/2 inch, 3/4, maybe 1 inch. So here's a picture of a properly soldered copper joint. You can see this is a copper T, 3/4 inch copper pipe. The solder looks nice. It's not running. It's not badly discolored or pitted or bubbly looking. Very clean. There are different types of copper pipe. Type K, Type L, Type M. Type L is considered the most common type of copper piping. When you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or a plumbing supply house, the pipe will be labeled on the side of the pipe, as you can see in these pictures of what it is. Type K is the thickest walled copper pipe. Type L is thinner than Type K, but thicker than Type M, so Type M is the thinnest walled. Because of that, Type M copper is not always allowed by plumbing codes in all areas and applications, so always check with the local building authority for restrictions on its use. Type K is great for underground burial because of the thicker wall. It's allowed. There's also a drain waste vent copper piping you might see in a really older building or older house, but generally in facilities maintenance, these are the three that you're going to see. So as far as your toolkit for soldering copper pipe, you're going to want a nice torch, some cutting tools as you see on the lower left hand corner here, some cleaning tools, whether that's a brush, emery cloth, sandpaper. Deburring tools are great to have too. You don't want burrs. You want nice clean cuts, nothing crooked or jagged when you're soldering. Make sure you get plumbing flux and plumbing solder, because there's different types of flux and solder. You don't want electrical solder, for example. And what they call an acid paste brush, as you see in the picture, you'll use that to apply the flux to your pipe and your fitting. Generally, you're going to be able to choose between propane and MAP gas bottles. I prefer MAP gas. It gets up to temperature more quickly than propane, burns at a higher temperature than propane. I find it easier to use, but again, everyone's different. If you're not allowed to use an open torch in your facility, or you're not comfortable using a torch and trying to solder, two other options for you are push to connect fittings like shark bites. Shark bite is one of the more commonly popular brands out there. There's other brands. Or you can buy a hydraulic crimper toolkit, as you see here. Comes with different dies for the different diameter copper pipe. You do have to buy the special fittings, and inside those fittings you see where the ends of the fittings are kind of flared up. Inside there's an O-ring seal, so the hydraulic crimper crimps down on that O-ring seal to create a watertight seal. Shark bite fittings are great because they're quick and easy to install. They come with removal tools, so if you need to remove it for some reason, you could. They're plumbing code compliant, all different sizes, ball valves, T's, elbows, you name it. So the basic steps to soldering copper pipe. You want to clean the pipe and the fitting with emery cloth, sandpaper, your cleaning tool, deburr it. Then you're going to apply flux to the inside of the fitting and to the outside of the copper pipe. You're going to push the copper pipe and fitting together. Be sure the fitting is clocked in the proper direction. You'd hate to solder it and realize, oh shoot, it's not pointed in the right direction. That's no fun. When you push the pipe and fitting together and you're sure it's clocked properly, you're going to use your torch and apply heat to one side of the fitting, as seen in the picture. When the flux starts to bubble, or you'll see it kind of steam or smoke a little bit, that is an indication the joint is about hot enough to solder. At that point, you'll touch the solder to the joint directly on the opposite side of the torch, not the same side, but the opposite side. If the solder immediately melts and runs into the joint, continue pressing the tip of your solder into the joint until you see the solder flow all the way around the joint. And through capillary action, that solder will fill around that entire joint and down into the joint, because it's gonna go towards the heat source, which is your torch. So that's why you always apply heat to one side and then your solder to the opposite side, never on the same side. And for some reason, if it doesn't flow in nicely, give it a few more minutes to heat up and try again. If it still doesn't flow nicely, make sure your fittings are clean enough. Check the type of solder you're using. Is your flux contaminated or dirty, etc. And you can't have any water in a pipe when you're soldering it, not even one drop, because that will not allow for a properly soldered joint. You end up with pinholes. When you turn the water back on, it's going to leak. So the inside of your pipe has to be completely dry, no water, no moisture on the outside, anything, and perfectly clean. Always use flux. That's about it for this topic today. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Ring the bell. If there's any topics you'd like me to cover in a future video, please leave me a comment below. Thanks.